Bears, blog, boys, you know it all, computer, analytic, geeky nerds. Michael Schneider, Tom Cavanaugh, the Bear, blog, boys, know-it-alls, doing some podcast somewhere. Nobody wants to hear you. Geeks, you pencil-pushing, skinny jean wearing geeks, you.
Coming to you live from our mom's basement, this is the Bears Blog Boys podcast. I am your co-host, Tom Cavanaugh, here with my good buddy and other co-host, Michael Schneider. Snyder, this was exactly the win we needed. I needed to see the Bears be able to beat up on whoever was across from them, and that's exactly what happened in this last game. So, buddy, how you doing, and how was your viewing experience just watching the Bears absolutely dominate the Cleveland Browns?
I'm doing good, brother. You said it best. This is exactly what the Bears needed and really what the Bears had to do, right? They had to take care of an opponent. The common theme is anytime the Bears are favored in a game, Bears fans say, oh my God, it's a trap game, it's a trap game, it's a trap game. And I kind of understood it because of the defense was kind of reminiscent to the Packers. So I kind of had that same worry, right? But they were favored at 7.5 points at home in the Bears weather. We have the favorable matchup on paper, and the Bears took care of business. And it was from start to finish. And I have so much to talk about with this game, but yeah, my viewing experience was great. Just to see them be a balanced team from start to finish and just take care of business and just show their dominance. I mean, this was 2 games out of the year where they did have big wins. Once against the Eagles, and then just now against the Browns. So I couldn't be more fired up on the performance they had, offensively, defensively, passing game, run game, offensive line, just Ben Johnson, just everything.
You can look at games like the Bears had against the Raiders and the Giants, and they were a lot closer than maybe we think they should be given where the Bears are at now. But you can kind of credit that to it being still a lot of things being new. They're not as comfortable in the scheme that they're in, especially on offense, I think, where there's some slower starts and stuff like that. If you really want to make some noise in December and January, these are the teams when you go up against. I know the Browns defense has been good, even though they were really banged up in this game. But given just the Browns just not being a very good team, these are games you need to see the Bears have a lopsided victory. And that's exactly what happened, right? I felt like the biggest difference was that you did see a more confident Bears team. You did see just a more comfortable team, especially on offense. The fact that they were able to get off to a fast start, things kind of lulled, but then they were able to put some drives back together and put more points on the board. But this just seemed like a team that was definitely more comfortable with what they were doing, that definitely brought different game plans. They were even doing more diverse things than they have to any point of the season. I mean, Ben Johnson brought out the pistol full house, the Greg Roman, like Lamar Jackson offense he was showing the Browns. So the fact that, I think that's kind of where I want to start, Snyder. The fact that Ben Johnson can just kind of dust off any game plan for whichever defense he's going up against and just make things so much more difficult to defend and get the defense in the personnel packages he wants to take advantage of. I think we've seen that for the last couple weeks now, where there's just a schematic edge that I don't think we've ever had as Bears fans on offense.
I mean, think about it like this. You're in an opposing team. You're watching film on the Bears, and you see what they did, all the exotic stuff they did against the Eagles, what they were doing against the second half against the Packers. Then you practice for that, and now you see some exotic stuff like this, like something you haven't seen any season, that pistol formation there. It really keeps you such an unpredictable offense. And shout out to Ben Johnson, he's just that much of a nutcase. Now that the next team, they have to prep in the film room for that, the Packers. So I just love just that way of thinking. They're just being super innovative, not being predictable from a play caller. Because here, even with Rome out, I do like how the Bears have so many different ways they could hit you. I mean, you don't even know game in and game out. You don't know, are you going to see more of DeAndre Swift? Are you going to see Kyle Monangai, or is it going to be split? I mean, you're getting Burden more involved. DJ had his best game of the season. You have the dual threat with Komet and Loveland. So, I mean, you combine all of that with Ben Johnson's creativity, it just makes the defense job that much harder.
Yeah, it really does. And like the fact that the Bears are now tapping into different stuff, like you said, like now other teams have to be prepared for what they showed in this week. And I think we've kind of seen that coalesce throughout the past 4 games. I think since the Steelers game, the training wheels really have come off this offense, and they are making more game plan specific adjustments, which is really, really encouraging. I don't think we saw that earlier in the year. They were kind of just trying to master the meat and potatoes of this offense. But now we're seeing small tweaks given who the Bears are going up against. And it's just really encouraging that that's what kind of the playoffs is, right? The NFL is a league of punches and counter punches, right? Understanding your opponent and how to attack them. And I think Ben Johnson, why beyond just his creativity and how sound his designs are, he really has a great understanding of where to attack defenses on a specific game, right? And this Browns game, I thought another big adjustment we've seen center. The Bears have been a heavy zone team. They're a heavy outside zone. They really want to get those wide zone plays going. But if you watch where the Browns struggled against the Titans, they're a very aggressive front. They attack, right? They want to penetrate gaps and get in the backfield. We saw that with Mason Graham on the play that everyone's talking about, the trap play with Jonah Jackson just absolutely clocking him. And Ben Johnson said it was the play he thought about before going to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
How you attack those attacking defense, or I'm sorry, I think the best ways to do that, to go after those attacking fronts, is running those trap plays, right? Allow them to penetrate and have a blocker come on the backside or the front side, wherever it's coming. Have those pulling linemen. And we saw that in this game. The Bears ran more gap plays than they did zone plays. So again, just another adjustment that probably this Browns team wasn't ready for. They probably were thinking in their minds, oh my God, the Bears run a ton of outside zone. That's what we need to prep for. We're going to have those wide splits and try to defend that. And the Bears come out, counterpunch you, and they had a really successful day on the ground. It wasn't like a super explosive day, but again, the Bears had a rushing success rate of 48.5%, which is a great number against a really, really tough Browns defense.
Yeah, and here we're not even talking about how you have to account for Miles Sanders. You have to sometimes run opposite his direction. So like even going up against that, to have the success that we did, I mean DeAndre Swift finished with 5 yards per attempt, 142 yards as a whole for the team. Again, I think that you got to give him so much credit for that, because what you also do offensively, schematically, typically you're running away from Myles Garrett, right? Or you're being very. I think there's a play where Colston Loveland just put him on his ass. Or like, that's just like credit to Colston Loveland, but also credit to Ben Johnson on the creativity just to have him have that type of angle at Myles Garrett to put him on his ass. Obviously, Colston Loveland made the play, but just the thought of that as a whole is to me very creative, and really just a credit to their run scheme and how Ben Johnson can kind of dial this thing up. So again, it wasn't an easy task. I know the Browns are the Browns offensively, but defensively, I was worried. And Myles Garrett, again, defensive player of the year, the probably the best defensive lineman in football, wasn't the easiest task.
It definitely was not an easy task. And I think that just kind of felt like, as a whole throughout this game, the Browns front just felt kind of like they were caught off guard a lot of times in different facets of the game. In the run game, like the play you just mentioned, the plans that they had for Myles Garrett to chip him, give him extra help, give Ozzie extra help. They were coming from kind of all angles and sides. And Myles Garrett talked about that before the game. Like, that's what teams do. But even on that play specifically, Myles Garrett's lined up so far outside the tackle that it's like close to Colston Loveland, close enough to where Colston Loveland could still chip him. I don't think he was expecting that ferocious of a chip block, and it got him on his ass. And I thought just overall they did a pretty good job silencing. He has the 2 sacks, obviously. I credited both of those. I credited, I think, one of those on Caleb, and then the other one, I think it was just no one was open. So I mean, he had a decent day, all things considered, but ultimately the Bears were able to slow him down enough to where they had a really successful day on offense, and especially in the air. I thought this was one of Caleb's best games. He looked super confident in what the Bears were trying to do. I liked really centered the big adjustment from past games that we've seen so far. I really liked his ability to throw a touch in this game. I thought he was picking the right clubs on terms of where to throw the ball with kind of his velocity. We know Caleb's has a really strong arm and likes to make those drive throws in the middle of the field. But we haven't seen a lot of touch throws so far this year. I never thought that was like a limitation of his by any means, but it just really hasn't come to fruition on like a large scale. And in this game, I thought we really saw that. The throw that stuck out to me was, well, the two throws that stuck out to me was the first touchdown pass to DJ Moore, beautiful throw. They got man coverage. DJ Moore's running across the field from the defender. Caleb's able to lay that in perfectly. And then that throw on that sail route to Colston Loveland, it was a beautiful throw right over the linebacker, the only place that Colston Loveland could get it. And just the fact that Caleb's attempting these throws and feeling confident that his guys are going to come down with it, it's just really, really encouraging stuff.
I love to see it. I mean, I think I texted you during the game, or at least maybe the next day, early morning. It was the best game that I've seen from Caleb start to finish. And I'm just seeing like just playing on time, no hesitation, getting rid of it, combined with just throwing dots. Well, I think my favorite throw of the day was it was like the side. It was like, I think it was a little bit off script, but not really. It was like that sidearm throw to Luther Burden where he like fits it in between three defenders. I know Luther Burden didn't come out with it, but just that throw, with that timing, that display of anticipation, it was like everything you wanted to see from your quarterback at once, right? The timing, the quick decision, the anticipation, and the accuracy with it in that tight of a window. It was like, damn, like that's what you want to see. And I think we've seen bits and pieces of that all game from start to finish from Caleb. He just looked comfortable. And again, going against Myles Garrett, a lot of credit to the offensive line for allowing him to be a little bit more comfortable. But just as far as doing the hard quarterback things and then also like the intricate quarterback things, combining those things for a full game for I think the first time this season, start to finish, it's the best I've seen from Caleb, and it's a large part why the Bears were able to have this dominant win, lean on to the run game, and that's the recipe for playoff football, right? Why I understand why a lot of people called the Bears a little bit fluky. They won a lot of one-score games. It came down to the last drive, but in a lot of those games, either the offense was bad, Caleb didn't have a great game. You never seen it put together for a full game start to finish. Even against the Eagles, Caleb didn't have his best game. You see flashes throughout this, right? Packers game, we had a disastrous first half, but man, Caleb was awesome. He was phenomenal that second half, and I just begged and I prayed, please, let's have a continuation of that for a full game, and I got my wish delivered from a full effort, start to finish, in this Browns game, and it's why we took care of business 31-3.
Yep, and you just hope these performances can carry over. The consistency, I think, just like how just comfortable and how it just looks so smooth. The offensive operation, like the play, it wasn't even like Caleb was doing like. The Packers game was encouraging, the fact that the Bears were able to rally back, but a lot of it was like broken plays or Caleb holding on to the ball and making plays happen. This was not the case in this game. Yeah, I thought most of it was in structure. He didn't really, outside of the crazy touchdown pass, which was insane, by the way, like an absolutely insane play where Caleb is rolling out, pressure right in his face, throws it across his body. It's the ultimate center. No, yes. Like
Dude.
when it actually happens. And you see DJ Moore come down with that.
So that's one where most quarterbacks, if they attempt that throw, you're ripping your hair out because like, oh my God, that's like a turnover worthy play. The way he led DJ Moore and the way the ball placement of him throwing it as high as he did, only DJ Moore could have got up and got that ball. So like when you throw into that traffic, you're like, no, like don't do that. That is like Trubisky. Like, it almost gives you like Trubisky level flashes of him forcing it in there. But this ball placement, the anticipation, DJ Moore getting up to get it. I mean, Tyson Campbell looked like totally lost in the sauce. He couldn't get up there. That was one of the most special throws I've ever seen as far as ball placement, the way He was able to get touch on that going against the sideline. It was just incredible.
Yeah, it was one of the best passes of his career. And people are gonna quibble about the decision and whatnot. Was it a lucky throw? Maybe it was a lucky throw. The fact that he even has the capability of making those throws is really, really special stuff. And I think people are losing sight of too. Like he was under pressure that it basically right before until he let go of the ball. So yeah, it was just an insanely impressive throw. I loved his answer after too. He was like, "I can make any throw." I love the confidence. Quarterbacks should play with confidence. That's exactly what you want to see from your young QB. The fact that he has confidence to make. Do you want to make a living of making those decisions? No, but Caleb hasn't, right? Like Caleb has not really taken a whole lot of chances in general this year. So the fact that he was just kind of feeling himself throughout that game and had the confidence to make that throw, most definitely admire that and am encouraged with that moving forward. It's probably not a throw you want to make a living on, but still, like the fact that you have that capability when the game wasn't in like danger by any means, but the Bears offense wasn't clicking the way it was early on. And I think after that play, kind of the floodgates were let loose, and that's when the game really broke open.
Yeah, I still got to give credit to the ball placement of that throw, man. That was nasty.
Yeah,
I
it
could
was.
live with that right here. I heard a debate on ESPN 1000. Like, yeah, Caleb's completion percentage is a little bit low, but it's also his turnovers are a little bit low. I could live with a little bit more shots like that. Even if it got the interceptions up just a little bit, I think I could live with that. Him taking those risks. I thought it's a good debate that they had. I like the aggressiveness, right? I don't think he would ever be overly aggressive where it's like, you're talking like Rex Grossman, Trubisky, like that kind of recklessness. But I think I can live with that, right? I think he has the arm talent. I think as he's sitting in his groove, he's been working on the placement and accuracy. I can live with him being a little bit more aggressive and having a little bit more confidence to continually make plays like that.
Yeah, 100%. That's the thing with Caleb. Like I think that's kind of been a misguided narrative nationally where they talk about how he's not making enough plays within structure and he's kind of like high risk, high risk, high reward. Like he kind of embodies that play style when that's really not been Caleb at all. Sure, does he need to make more plays within structure? Maybe that's the case, but I think he ultimately tries really hard to do that. I don't think he's just bailing on plays. Like I wouldn't say turning things down within structure has been a big issue for him. I think it's just been more or less like the timing in which he does everything is probably what I think is more of a accurate criticism of his. But this game was not the case. And ultimately, like I think he's played a very risk adverse style. Like we really haven't seen throws like this at all. He's been way more game managery. And if you look at like all the charting, on where he ranks among the league, he has definitely been on the safer side, which is kind of what this offense intends for their quarterbacks to be. It's like a highly efficient, we keep the chains moving type of offense. It doesn't really allow you to take a lot of risk. So the fact that he's kind of still, I would say, finding a balance of, okay, when could I be a playmaker and make plays like these happen? And then when do I need to run the offense? I think this game, among all the games we've seen so far, has probably been the best balance of the two.
Yeah, I mean, here, I wanted to ask you, like, here, you definitely had like your ups and downs with Caleb, but as far as like doing like intricate quarterback things, staying in the pocket, going through your reads, throwing with anticipation, fitting it into tight windows, I'll say that I'm ecstatic about just the floor that is Caleb Williams. Combine that with his playmaking ability. Combine that with just the rocket of an arm, the plays he can make off of structure. I am, again, ecstatic about just the floor and the quarterback who Caleb Williams is. And that goes to say he's still growing, right? He's only, what, 14 games into one offseason, 14 games with Ben Johnson. I know progression isn't always linear, but as far as growing as a quarterback, the floor that he's already set, I'm ecstatic with Caleb Williams as my quarterback. And I just think you're going to see it get even better, be more comfortable. I think there's going to be a spot where, you see Jared Goff play. I think Caleb's going to be that comfortable. And then this offense, he's going to reach that IQ, that those instincts are just going to keep getting even better. Now combine that with the arm talent and combine that with the playmaking ability. I mean, there is just unlimited upside. And again, just to see this floor from Caleb this far, makes me very grateful. And the way he's progressing, the way he's just getting better and better.
Yeah, I think the best is still yet to come. Like from in terms of a season long perspective, and that was a given, right? Like this was going to be an adjustment for him and for everyone involved in this offense. We've seen that they've made mistakes all across the board. So I still truly believe the best is yet to come for Caleb.
Yep.
But the big number that I'm looking at, I think that is a really good measure of growth from year one to year two. And the circumstances from both years have been just totally polar opposite. So it's hard to take away that for like, obviously it was going to be better to some extent, but Caleb he ranked 34th in clean pocket passing grade last year, which was it was in between Deshaun Watson and Anthony Richardson, who have not played a snap of football this year. So if that tells you anything, he was not good from a clean pocket. He was not as good as he needed to be to justify where he was drafted. That's a given, right? This year, he has taken a huge jump from a 70 grade, a 70.9 grade, to an 82.3 grade. I mean, just a massive leap from a clean pocket. To me, that shows that you're understanding when you're good from a clean pocket, you are understanding how to beat defenses, where the open guys are, just playing within structure, getting the ball out when it needs to be. And that's where I think the national narrative is missing right now. People that like have not watched the Bears, they're not understanding how Caleb wants to play. Has it been perfect? No. From a season-long perspective, it hasn't been perfect, but he wants to play within structure. I think that is the thing that's misguided. It's not like he's just abandoning trying to make on his own all the time. He wants to play, and I think as he gets more comfortable, as we see games like these where he puts together these performances where he's beating you in both ways. He didn't even scramble. I think he had two scrambles in this game. We're just going to see him become more confident within this offense. And then that allows Ben Johnson to call these different game plans and do these different things formationally that we're already seeing him starting to do.
Yeah, and that's one thing, like, here, I don't want to live by Caleb Williams running. That's another bag of tricks that we are, haven't really tapped into. Yeah, you do want him to be in there, but I mean, you get the option going. I mean, that's just another, in this deep bag of tricks that you could tap into when you get into these, must-win games, playoff games. Again, so that's another layer that I even left out when talking about Caleb Williams, the quarterback, as well.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, just overall, a really impressive performance. It was his highest graded game for PFF. He had an adjusted completion percentage in the 80s. That's always great. But again, I like using that adjusted completion percentage because it accounts for throwaways. And I think that is a huge reason why his overall completion percentage is down because he has thrown the ball away a lot. That kind of is the nature of this offense when you're running a bunch of bootlegs and stuff like that. And when things aren't open on one side of the field, you throw the ball away. But yeah, I mean, just a really, really encouraging performance. I thought the side of the interior offensive line kicked ass in this game. It's just kind of the nature of where we're at with this team. They are so strong in the interior. Jonah Jackson had a really strong game. Mason Graham is going to be thinking about this performance for a while. I feel like this was a really welcome to the NFL moment for him.
No doubt about it. I mean, dude, these four offensive linemen, I know Trapillo's still growing, had a tough matchup. You just want these guys to anchor your offensive line for the next few years. I know Tunney's a little bit older, but hey, if he's about it, I think his game, I mean, it is aging like fine wine. That's typically the case when you have these all-pro guys. They're, as long as they're healthy, they play really well into their low to mid-30s. So I just hope that we can kind of keep him for a while, and he's game for having that long of an NFL career. But yeah, I mean, I just love this overhaul of the offensive line. I think there's even, again, I like Trapillo, but I think, you talk about next year, the way you maneuver the cap, you might be able to get even better at left tackle just to have an even more dominant. So yeah, I just love where we're at as a offensive lineman unit. I honestly offense as a whole, but man, the way this offensive line was turned around, it's just been huge for us, man.
Yeah, most definitely with Ozzy. Obviously, like there's only so much you can expect from him to really take care of business against Myles Garrett, right? Like the two sacks that happened, he allowed, and that makes sense. He's a rookie, second round pick going up against the best edge rusher in the NFL. So it really doesn't like shock me, or I'm not down on him as a player. But I like what Ben Johnson said about him, that like he's not a rookie anymore. And the fact that they are entrusting him to remain the starter, because remember, that kind of just happened overnight where Theo Benedict missed that one game. Ozzy came in and played well, and he just kept the starting job from here on out. I think they were waiting for that performance to fully entrust in him. And then ultimately as well, this is not an easy offense, especially for the offensive line. When you can just, again, pull out these random personnel packages on the flip of a dime, and you're running different run formations, you're a heavy outside zone team, and now you're running a bunch of gap stuff. So there's a lot to understand. You're running these complex protection plans against Myles Garrett to slow him down. So as a rookie, I could see where your head would be swimming in this offense, because there are a lot of things to understand. There are a lot of different responsibilities, assignments, and the fact that he's at least mastering the mental side of it, and then he can, develop as we see offensive linemen from year 1 to 2 to 3. That's a pretty linear position in terms of growth. It's really, really encouraging. I don't ever expect Ozzy to be like a top 5 offensive tackle in the NFL, but could he get to that 15 to 12 range? If you can get that out of a second round rookie tackle center, I think you're feeling really, really good with what you got.
Yeah, you do feel really good. It's going to be an interesting conversation because the position's so important. But yeah, I mean, when you have the stability of 4 really good offensive linemen to the right of you, and you continue to build that chemistry, you feed off each other, you're locked in, and then you grow from the IQ and the instincts part of it, that's only going to increase his game, right? I do think when it comes, maybe we shouldn't have this debate right now, but when it comes to what's on the line next year, I'm sure the aspiration will be Super Bowl or bust. It's going to be a tough decision. Do you get better at that, or do you just ride with him getting better? I know the Bears might have needs otherwise, but being such an important position, I think that's going to be an interesting debate. Now, if you do trust him and put him in that starting role, and he does grow and he becomes, again, just mid-level on that rookie contract, it is a massive, massive value.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I think, I know we're not going to have this debate right now. I think they're going to roll with him. I think that they trust in him. I think that investment meant something. And it sounds like they're really happy with where he's at currently too. So I'd expect him to be the starter moving forward. And you just got to hope to see continual progression. This wasn't the worst game in the world, but it was it was an up and down game, and that is a given going up against Myles Garrett. Let's talk about the defensive side of the ball, Sider, because you just look at the scoreboard and kind of the stats around this game. The Bears hold the Browns to 3 points. Shedeur Sanders has a really rough game. This was, again, a performance the Bears needed, I think, given all of what was surrounding. I'm sorry, before we get to the defense, we didn't even talk about the Rome Odunze going. Maybe we should talk about that now. The 2 injuries the Bears suffered on offense. Rome Odunze aggravates his foot injury like 20 minutes before the game starts, and they rule him out. And now it really sounds like his status is uncertain moving forward. And then Luther Burden leaves this game with an ankle injury and is considered day-to-day. I know we're probably going to talk about that more on the preview episode, Senator, in this huge game against the Packers. But 2 injuries that are definitely worrisome, right? The Bears, the outlook on the receiver room, the pass catching room is, oh my God, this is a really deep group. They have so many different weapons they could turn to. Heading into this Packers game, with kind of both their young receivers, their status being uncertain, that's definitely something to worry about it. And you just got to hope that they can be. With Rome, I'm not really expecting him to play in this game. I think that he could miss the remainder of the regular season given the sound of his injury. But with Burden, you really hope that they can get him back for this Packers game.
Yeah, we're going to need him. Burden last week, in the absence of Rome, steps up, leads the team in targets with 7, has 80-something yards. But then you just see, right, The guy is electric. When you get him the ball, he always going to make at least one guy miss. To stop and go is insane. It's just natural feel to play the game of football. Is there? It's just so obviously you watch him play, and okay, even though he's a little bit raw, the guy's a good football player. The eye test could tell you that. Same exact thing with Colston Loveland. Both of them did step up. They led the team in target. What I liked about this passing offense is here. I know Rome was out, but here, target leaders went Burden, Loveland, Moore, Komet. That's what it needs to be, right? I'm glad that we're over the days, even in Rome's absence, of Olamide Zacchaeus leading the league in target or Komet having too many. I'm glad we're past that, and hopefully you insert Rome. He's near the top of that as well. So I do think the special players, the young guns, the guys who should be getting more targets are, right? They are getting a little bit more settled into this offense, and we could lean on those dudes. So, yeah, it will hurt if Rome is out again. Hopefully, Burden can play. Man, I do think we're okay.
Yeah, I'm hoping we're okay. The Packers had some pretty devastating injuries of their own, and we'll see if any. So I know they obviously the big ones, Micah Parsons, but they've also had some other injuries in the secondary and stuff like that. So we'll see when these teams match up against. Again, this is just the recap show. We're not going to preview the Bears Packers quite yet, but yeah, I think that it definitely hampers this team a bit. And DJ Moore and Colston Loveland definitely have to pick up the slack. Colston Loveland, I think, has been doing that the past couple of weeks. They just got DJ Moore more involved in this past game. So yeah, you're definitely not where we thought this Bears pass catching room was going to be at this time of the year. But you at least have other guys that can pick up the slack. We're hoping that Burden can come back. I'm definitely less optimistic about Rome. But we'll talk about that more for the preview episode, and I'm sure we'll get some more status updates. They'll probably start practicing today, given that the teams usually start practicing on Wednesday when the games are on Sunday. Given that the Bears game's on Saturday, they'll probably start practicing today. I doubt Burden will be at practice, but in the first practice of the week. But we'll definitely monitor his status and give updates when we can. Let's talk about the defense. So it is an encouraging performance on defense. There's no doubt about it. But it's hard to like the weight you hold, right? Because this is definitely a performance that should have happened given where the Browns offense is at. Definitely not a good offense in any stretch of the imagination. But I think it is worth, it's not like the offense, you're giving the same weight to the offense where the Browns defense is actually good. The Browns offense, it's the Browns offense. Like you should dominate them. You should have multiple turnovers. You should sack Shedeur Sanders on 12.5% of his dropbacks. This is just kind of the performance that should have happened.
30 total pressures, 5 sacks. It's pretty nuts, right? Austin Booker having 7 of them, Montez Sweat and Javon Dexter having 5 apiece. The win rate was there. Actually, what was it? Austin Booker had 7. I don't think you'll ever see a stat line like this. Austin Booker had 7 total pressures with a 0% pass rush win rate. So you'll never see a stat like that, I think, ever across the NFL. Man. That is an indictment on the quarterback holding the ball too long and just finding himself into pressure. That's pretty nuts. One thing that stands out, I know he only had 11 pass rush stats, but Joe Tyron Shonka had a pass rush win rate of 36. And I actually seen a lot of like videos floating around on Twitter. He had a really good game. So maybe you kind of tap into him a little bit more as he's getting settled in. But just there's a funny stat line here of just these pressures, these sacks, and then not a lot of true one-on-one, domination there from any of our defensive linemen. But how Shedeur Sanders and this Browns offense made it possible to have this stat sheet. This is pretty crazy. I don't think you'll ever see a game like this.
Yeah, I think the credit you give to the Bears is that Dennis Allen, I thought, had a good game plan in terms of disguising coverages. Like Shedeur Sanders looked lost for most of this game, and they didn't blitz a whole lot. They only blitzed on 17.5% of their dropbacks. I thought they were going to do that a lot more, given Shedeur Sanders kind of struggled against the blitz throughout the course of the year. but they didn't really feel the need to do that, and they were definitely right. Senator, you brought up all those snaps. The Austin Booker one might be the funniest, like one of the
Never
funniest.
seen anything like that before.
Never seen anything like that, and it kind of checks out, right? Like I haven't gone back and watched the defense in depth, but it's not like the Bears were just winning instantly and guys were just right in Shedeur Sanders' lap. And this stat, I think, kind of justifies that. The Bears had a time to pressure of 3 seconds. So it's not like, again, Shedeur Sanders was getting the ball in his hands and guys were in his lap immediately. Like, no, it was a slow burn type of pass rush. And Shedeur Sanders just couldn't get the ball out of his hands. And that was, it was an indictment on the offense and just kind of the whole operation, what's going on with Cleveland right now. It was a really, really poor effort, but I'm glad the Bears just took care of business and did what they needed to do.
Oh yeah, I mean, hey, it was again one of the best performance I've seen from this Bears team as a whole. I said it on the intro, just the passing attack, combination with the run game, offensive line, defense as a whole. Why I think the Bears can compete with any team is if they perform like this, right? I get it. It's the Browns. Like, I totally understand. But I'm just saying, an offense as a whole, if you're gonna hang with these must-win teams, for the division in the playoffs, if you're gonna hang with them and if you're gonna beat them, you have to have this complete of a game offensively, right? That's how you're gonna mask the defensive line. That's how you're gonna mask some of the injuries on defense. Is you need to have this game on offense. And the Bears got up early. They had a chance to be up 3 possessions really early on this game, but Santos missed a very close field goal. I'll live with that. But if you're in the first half and you're up 3 possessions and you have the run game that Ben Johnson has with this offensive line, that's how you can take control of the game, right? That's how you're going to get a playoff win, right? That's how you're going to beat these top teams. If you play as clean as you did to start out this game and as complete as you can, you could compete with any team in the NFL. It just has to be a continuation of this type of performance.
Yeah. And that's the nice thing, Snyder, that I think that I'm not used to as a Bears fan is the Bears have, when they do go up against these bad teams or they do run up the score, they have the tools to kind of close those games out. How many times have we seen the Bears blow leads?
Yeah.
We saw it earlier in the year against the Vikings. Like, that felt like the most Bears game ever, where they lead the whole game. They're outplaying their opponent, and then in the fourth quarter they just kind of collapse.
Yeah.
I don't think that's in this team's DNA the way it was under Matt Eberflus, under Matt Nagy. This is definitely a more disciplined team. This is definitely a team that has the tools to kind of close those games out, lean on the run game, stay efficient when they need to in the passing game. And then ultimately, too, what this team has been, while it might be kind of fluky, they've been extremely opportunistic in making the most of the turnover-worthy play chances when they come their way. Can that be something they rely on, game in, game out? Maybe not. But against these bad teams, when they are going to give you the opportunities to make plays on the ball, the Bears have done a great job at making the most of them. And look, they had 3 takeaways in this game. Jalen Johnson has an insane interception. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson has a nice interception. And then DeMarco Jackson did too. So, yeah, I thought that the defense did exactly what they needed to do. And it's nice to see that the Bears have the tools in the bag to kind of just keep this game out of reach, because there were moments in this game where it's like, all right, the Bears are not really clicking on offense. They're giving the Browns short fields. Caleb takes that sack on 4th down, and then the Bears defense has a huge play to respond to put the game further out of reach for the Bears.
Right.
Yeah, so I think that's about it for this game. There's not a whole lot to discuss in terms of like a translatable performance from the defense, in my opinion, moving forward, going up against the Packers. The Packers offense definitely brings a lot more challenges, let's say. We've already seen that unfold. We will definitely talk about that matchup at a lot more depth. I think, having these games so close together is going to make it a lot easier in terms of the adjustments I think the Bears will make. And then the Packers team is going to be a lot different. Let's just talk about that a little bit, Senator. The Packers lose Micah Parsons, and that is such a huge loss for who they were defensively and everything that they do around Micah Parsons. The fact that they're not going to have him is such a huge ripple effect, and it's going to make this matchup so entirely different. I'm sure the Packers are going to ramp things up pressure-wise, but man, the injuries that happened over the weekend, maybe for both teams, with the Bears potentially losing Rome and Luther Burden in this game, but the Packers losing Michael Parsons, I mean, such a huge injury that sucks to see, but it ultimately changes the entire landscape of this game.
Yeah, I mean, Bears on the road a couple weeks ago, I think they were 7.5-point underdogs. Right now, they're at home and they're only 1.5-point underdogs. So, like, just a huge swing there in terms of how Vegas thinks how close it is. And that's the thing, right? You don't root for injuries, you don't celebrate injuries, but the reality of the situation is, hey, Micah Parsons was dominant that first half against the Bears, and now that they don't have that, it's really going to change things. And I think it's really, I don't think the Bears get kind of shut down in a half like that as they did, and the fact that it kind of opens up and you don't have to like game plan against one defensive guy, it really opens things up for the Bears. And yeah, I don't root for injuries or anything like that, but totally changes the landscape of this Packers team.
Yeah, it does. It's really unfortunate. Like you said, you don't want to root for injuries. You never want these things to happen to players, but it's a game changer. And I'm curious to see what the Bears will do differently, how they'll take advantage of his absence, because that's unfortunately what's going to occur in this game. That they're not going to have to game plan the same way that they did
Right.
in this past game. So a lot of differences, but we'll get more into the nitty gritty of that. We're going to try to have that preview to you guys out sooner, given the game is going to occur sooner. So other than that, it's a great Bears win to celebrate for this week, but the Bears have a huge, huge game with a lot on the line against the Packers. So until we meet again, y'all, keep it real and bear down.
Bear down.